Hi everyone, this is Sharon. Today I am here to share with you my latest journal. This journal is a custom order and I created it using this beautiful old antique book. It's well worn but really beautiful, and I cinched it up with this polka dotted sari silk trim. This cover has been sitting on my work surface for months, and I got a custom order request from Barbara, so I knew this one had to be hers. And Barbara had requested a journal that she could use as a garden themed journal. So I incorporated a lot of botanicals in here. It's a 5 signature journal, and what else do I want to say about it? I think as we head inside, I've used primarily Roxy Creations digitals in here and just a few others, but primarily hers. For instance, on the covers, these are images from the Graphics Fairy, their antique title pages bundle. So I've got this one on the front. I really love using those title pages for the inside covers of my journals. And this is one I put on the back. Most of the journal pages come from Rachel's latest kind of a spring Easter kit that she put out. So as we head through the journal, here I've got a corner tuck, and in there I've inserted this book page from a botanical book, and this got these pretty peaches on there. And I just love the aging on this paper. Here is a page from one of my favorite vintage cookbooks. This is a page from an English Lake District guidebook. And I just embellished some of these beautiful pages with, this one has a ruffle on it, and some other fabrics and trims throughout. On this page I created a top tuck, and in there I've got this antique check and this tag that I made. I always love doing botanical and garden themed journals because then I can use all kinds of flowers and butterflies and things like that. This comes from a vintage botanical book that I have. Here I took one of Rachel's tags from one of her kits and just used that as a flip. And I've started creating my own whale tail tabs, and I just put out a video, a little short tutorial on how I make those. So I'll link that below so you can check it out if you'd like. Here I used a page from the book and just edged that with some cheesecloth and decorative stitching that I did on my sewing machine. This is just a journaling sheet that clips over the page and kind of goes up and over the top. And then inside I lined it with book page and some old antique book page for writing, and then that's the back. In the center of the signature I've got this waxed doily, and then on this side I've got another similar journaling sheet that goes up and over the page, just has different images on it. On this side I've got another flip out. Here I created a fabric flip, and then on the back side of that I just lined it with some paper. And then I've got some of Rachel's coffee dyed papers in here as well. Here I created a cluster with some vintage and antique fabrics and laces and a piece of an old time card. On this page I clipped this tag, this pretty butterfly, and I've got some vintage book page on the back. Here I created a pocket from some wallpaper. And in there I've got one of my favorite photos, this beautiful wedding picture of this woman with her flowy dress and standing on the beach. Some really pretty flowers. And then you could do some writing on the back of that. And then also in that pocket I have this tag. Here I created a pocket with a piece of a doily. And then in there I tucked this tag that I made. Here I created a belly band from vellum and just used this pretty floral image on there. And then in there I have this little item that I tied up. It's sort of a little folio type thing I made from a botanical book page. I added a stamp and a decorative edge on there. And then on the inside, I've got some of this Tim Holtz tissue paper as a page. And then some graph paper for writing. In garden books where people might be plotting out gardens and things, I always like to add some graph paper. And this is what the back looks like. I incorporated some shorthand pages. And I also have some beautiful ledger paper from the 1800s. And that I got from Sarah at Crafty Paper Bits. And then I have this tag in there. Here I created a pocket, and then in there I've got this antique postcard, and that's dated 1907. I've got an Edith Holden book page, several of those in this journal. And then here I created a pocket from this vegetable image, and in there I have an antique French book page, and I just stitched on the stencil piece of paper. This is avocado dyed paper, so there's some writing room in there. Here I created a flip out, and then I've got this narrow pocket in the side here, and I've just got this little narrow tag or bookmark in there. On this page, I just layered up some various laces and put a tab on the top. Here's another, not a belly band, but a side tuck that I made from that vellum, printed with a pretty floral on there. And then in there, I've got this antique check. Beautiful images in that spring kit of Rachel's. And then here I added some pretty lace, and then I did some embossing on this piece of velvet. I don't know if you can see that. I used one of my rubber stamps to emboss that. On the top of this page, I did a little texture paste stenciling. And then I had to include some pages that had Barbara's name on it. And this is an envelope from one of Rachel's latest kits. And in there, I've just tucked some goodies. This image, I think that one's from Ruby and Pearl. And then some old wallpaper. On this page, I've got a little side tuck here, and in there I've got a couple of antique pieces. This is from a little booklet, centennial booklet from 1876. And then I've got this old check. This is a French school workbook, and I just added a little bit of lace on there. This bunny I actually got from Rachel. I just adhered it to this page. It came in one of her fabric bundles. I thought that was so cute. Here I created a fabric pocket with this beautiful fabric, kind of a bark cloth type of fabric. And then in there I have this tag that I made. The backing of this tag came from an old photo. It's almost like a cabinet card. It's really thick and hard. I just did some collaging on there. And then on this side of the page, I actually adhered this tag to this sheet from a stamp book and just did some stitching around there. Love that owl image. And then in the center of this signature, I did a little trifold, and after I had it sewn in, I slipped this string underneath that page so that I could tie it up. And then you can see in here, this is where I've got it sewn in. And then I just kind of folded it over and you can tie it up. And in there's plenty of writing room. And then I created this pocket out of a little doily snippet, did some stamping on there with one of Sam Poole's stamps. And then in there, I've got a couple of a journaling card and a tag. On this page, I created a side tuck out of digital image, and then I've got a Tracy Fox label on there and did a little machine stitching on the top. And then in there, I tucked this beautiful rose image from a rose catalog that I have. On this page, I clipped on a journaling card that I made, this really pretty botanical image. And then on the back, I adhered this to a book page, and so I just flipped that book page out. It was larger than this image. And then just created this flap and added a digital image on there. And then on this side of the page, I stitched on this glassine pocket. And this is an idea I got from Liz on Lucky Street. I've been kind of binge watching her videos this week, and she had a number of these in her journals, and I just thought they were so neat. You create a see-through pocket with the glassine, and then I stuck in some of my own pressed flowers in there. On this page, I created a flip out with some embossed paper and added some washi tape on the back. And then I just did a little collaging with some lace and paper, some of those laundry labels, and then I did a little gold leafing on there as well, which is so messy. I need to get better at it. I love the way it looks, but I'm not so good at doing it yet. On this page, I just put this little sheet over the corner. So it's a printable on the front and the back, and I left plenty of room to write in the back. But what I did was just fold that in quarters and then just take this and tuck it on the side of this quarter. Here I created a little journaling card out of this embroidered bee image. And then there's some embossing on the back. Here I created a corner tuck out of this embroidery or doily image, and I just stuck this tag in there that can be used to write on. Here's another Edith Holden book page. Here I took a label and adhered it and wrapped it around the page and just adhered it with a brad. Here I created a pocket out of one of those vintage time cards. Did a little collaging on there, and in there I've got this tag and a page from one of my favorite vintage cookbooks. Some nice good old time recipes in there. In the middle of this signature, every once in a while I have to pull out these Women of Antiquity from Mrs. Coggs. And so I took 2 of those and just notched them out, adhered them on 3 sides. So I've got these little pockets in here. And then I created these botanical tags that I stuck in there. And I've just got some lace for the tabs. And then in this pocket, I created a double pocket. I used a little piece of doily down here, and in there I tucked this little tea card. And then this week I was very much into flower planting here in Wisconsin, and I pulled this little tab out of one of my pots as I was planting and thought, wow, that would make a nicely shaped tag for one of my journals. So that was my inspiration, and I made my own version that's a little bit larger, but I pretty much cut it out the same size, and then I used my 1/4-inch punch to just kind of punch out some of these notches that are similar to the original. And then I just took a botanical image and put that on there with a little label, and then I embossed the back. Here I created a flip out. Here I created a side tuck with this doily image and just stitched that on. And then in there I have this little bundle, and I have to tell you about this little belly band, I guess you would call it, on this bundle. I was watching Rachel's, one of her 100-day projects on Roxy Creations, and she found an old bundle of documents where they took another document or piece of paper and folded it to create these little bands where they would tie up all these documents. I thought, I am going to use that in my next journal. And what I did mine a little bit different because I had this image of this check, which is a little bit wider than what she was working with. The ones that she had, I'll just kind of show you, were more like this size, and it was just folded over once, and then it was wrapped around the documents and then kind of tucked together on the back like that. And what I did was I folded mine in thirds and then wrapped it around. That kind of creates a channel where you can then take your other side and just tuck it into that channel. And it does cinch it up pretty good so that it holds together pretty well when you're done. So in this bundle, I have this letter, which came in this envelope, but this envelope I made into a fabric sample card. And this was inspired originally from Rachel at Roxy Creations, but also from Liz on Lucky Street. She did one with a vintage envelope, and I thought, oh, that would make a really nice kind of background. And on the back side, I just embellished it a little bit, and then in the inside I added some fabrics and some little labels and things in there. And then on this page I've got some lace and a wax seal. And then here's another one of those envelopes from Roxy Creations. And I lined that with one of those botanical pages. And then in there, I just tucked a couple of cards. I backed these with some antique ledger paper. This one. Here's a botanical book page, and I just stitched on this image of a calling card. It can be used as a tuck spot. And then a page from a typing drill workbook. And I folded that over on the top and added some decorative paper. And then in there, I just tucked this little journaling card. What I did was, this is an image transfer that I did from an antique postcard onto some shelf lining paper, which is transparent. And then when you glue that onto, say, a book page or something, you can see through it. And that's what I did here. And that's another one of my tutorials, so I will link that tutorial as well down below in the description. And I just adhered this one onto this old antique book page. Here I've got some painter's masking paper that I stenciled. Got a little pocket on that one. Here in this belly band, I've got this antique postcard. I just love this picture of this chateau. That's from 1915 in a language that is not English. And then in the center of this signature, I've got this coffee dyed paper, and it's got this stenciling, and I use some acrylic paint for that, so it gives it a real kind of old world feel. And in this belly band, I've got another piece of old ephemera. And then on this side of that typing book, I've got another talk, and then I created another one of these journaling sheets with this is an antique postcard 2 image that I did a transfer, some decorative stitching, and then that's backed onto an old book page. Here's a corner talk, and in there I've just got, again, a page from that vintage cookbook and this antique onion skin invoice from 1912. And that takes us to the back side. So Barbara, if you're watching, I hope you like your journal. Let me know what you think. And for everyone else, I hope you enjoyed that flip through. And until next time, bye-bye.